radiant light envelops Clare, illuminating her cell with an otherworldly glow as she stands on the brink of a miraculous transformation. In this moment of divine communion, her spirit soars as she experiences the warmth of the Eucharist, transcending the limitations of her illness and isolation. As she reaches out to embrace the sacred mystery, a profound realization dawns within her. She is no longer confined by walls, but rather empowered to share this love with others. What will unfold as Clare steps into her purpose? And how will she ignite hope in a world longing for connection? You won't believe what happened next. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and tell us where you're watching from. The flickering candlelight in Clare's cell danced across the cold stone walls, creating fleeting shadows that echoed the turmoil in her heart. The air was heavy with the fragrance of incense and the chill of winter, a stark reminder of the season of joy that now felt out of reach. Clare sat on a simple wooden bench, her frame small and fragile, yet her spirit flickered with a desperate hope. She felt the weight of her sorrow pressing down on her, an invisible shroud that isolated her from the vibrant world outside. As Christmas approached, the sounds of jubilant hymns rang through the monastery, delighting the hearts of her fellow sisters who eagerly anticipated the celebrations. But for Clare, each note intensified her sense of loss. This year would be different. It would mark the first Christmas she would not partake in the Mass, the very heart of her faith. The absence of the Eucharist left a gaping hole in her soul, plunging her into depths of sorrow that felt insurmountable. Tears filled her eyes as she thought of the sacred sacrament, the body of Christ she yearned to receive. "What would Christmas be without you, Lord?" she whispered, her voice breaking the serene silence of her confinement. Deep emotions swept over her as she remembered the altar adorned with festive flowers, the choir's harmonious voices soaring into the heavens. Such images felt painfully distant now, like a beautiful tapestry torn apart, leaving only ragged edges of what once was. "Why must I be left alone in this darkness?" Clare pondered, her heart aching for answers that remained hidden in the depths of the night. Each breath became heavier, as if burdened by the isolation wrapped around her like a cold blanket. The vibrant sounds of gaiety and laughter seeped through her cell doors, mingling with her sorrow, a cruel reminder of the joys she could not partake in. Andrea and Antonia, her beloved parents, were miles away, caught in their responsibilities and holiday preparations, their presence only felt in the warmth of her memories. With every beat of her heart, she felt the pain of being so physically far from them during such a significant time. Clare had been confined to her cell, beset by illness, while the world around her celebrated the birth of Christ. Alone in her thoughts, she felt the chasm between her spirit and the communal celebrations grow wider. The warmth of companionship was replaced with stark loneliness. Sisters Agnese, Pacifica, and Filippa visited her often, their gentle hands stroking her hair and their soft voices offering prayers of hope. But their affectionate gestures could not suffice to fill the void left by her illness. The sorrow etched on their faces mirrored her own, a silent acknowledgement that such a profound absence could not easily be remedied. As dusk descended, darkness settled like a heavy blanket, seeming to weigh down Clare's very being. The first stars glimmered in the night sky, but they offered little comfort. The tolling bells of the monastery rang out, announcing the impending midnight hour, each clang a painful reminder of the minutes slipping away. Clare clutched her rosary tightly, the cool beads encircling her fingers as if they could anchor her to hope. "Let me be with my sisters this Christmas," she implored, her voice barely a whisper. "Grant me the grace to receive you, even from a distance." The anticipation of midnight filled the air with a thick tension. Clare's thoughts turned to the celebration beyond her cell, contemplating what she might miss as the bells chimed and her heart pulsed with yearning. "Will I ever see the Eucharist again? Will I ever feel its warmth against my soul?" These thoughts spiraled through her mind, a chaotic symphony of distress and desire. "Saint Francis, protect me," she pleaded silently, asking for strength and guidance. The figure of her beloved mentor loomed large in her memories, urging her to embrace faith amid trials. Trusting in love that transcended physical distance, she focused on the flicker of hope igniting within her. Perhaps her longing could beckon something miraculous from the heavens, something that could dissolve the walls of her isolation. In her solitude, Clare felt a stirring deep within, a flicker of belief that through fervent prayer she might draw closer to the divine. The night deepened, but so too did her supplication. Could it be that a miracle awaited? Could Christmas whisper promises of wonder to a soul so desperate and yearning? With the clock inching closer to midnight, the chill of the air seemed to shift, accompanied by an electric sense of anticipation. Clare felt warmth wash over her, igniting embers of faith that had not been extinguished. Christmas was near, and in her heart she began to sense that something transcendent might unfold. The barriers keeping her from her community and her Eucharistic communion felt fragile, as if they might melt away beneath the light of faith. Within her, hope flickered alive, a small yet fierce flame resilient against the encroaching darkness. What awaited her in the coming hours? Would the night reveal the miracle she so fervently sought? As the solemn bells announced the coming of Christmas, Clare surrendered herself to prayer once more, heart wide open, awaiting the touch of divine grace. Her spirit soared with the possibility that perhaps, just perhaps, she was not as alone as she felt. In that quiet moment of faith, she believed that the heavens held a promise just for her. The warmth of her faith wrapped around Clare as if the very fabric of hope was shielding her from despair. In those lingering moments, the sacred silence of her cell began to transform, punctuated by the distant sounds of joyful hymns echoing through the corridors of the monastery. Each note resonated in her heart, like a tantalizing reminder of the life she had been unable to embrace physically, yet invigorated by her profound spiritual connection. Imagining the beautifully adorned chapel, Clare could see the flickering candlelight casting shimmering reflections against the altar where the Eucharist awaited. Her sisters would be nestled in their seats, their faces lit with reverence and joy, their voices rising harmoniously in celebration. She yearned to join them, to feel the warmth of their spirits interwoven with her own. Clare knelt even lower, her hands clasped tightly around her rosary as she channeled every ounce of her energy into prayer. "Lord, let this night be a testament to your love," she whispered fervently. "Though I cannot stand among them, let me partake in this holy promise from my heart." Each Hail Mary she recited blossomed with utter sincerity. She surrendered her pain and isolation to God, trusting that her prayers would soar beyond her physical limitations. The air around her thickened with a palpable energy, a current of divine grace washing over her as she clung to her faith. It was as if the very essence of the universe drew nearer, intertwining her spirit with the sacred undulations of love that permeated the night. Time seemed to warp as her heartbeat synced with the rhythm of the bells tolling midnight. With each sound, Clare felt a stirring within her, a soft voice gently encouraging her to hold fast to her beliefs. "You are not alone," it seemed to say, coaxing forth waves of comfort. It evoked memories of moments when she had felt the embrace of Christ surrounding her, a gentle breeze on a quiet evening, the scent of blooming flowers in the garden, the calm presence of her sisters during their gatherings. Those beautiful recollections filled the space within her, igniting hope like a beacon in the dark. As she envisioned the joyous gathering outside her cell, Clare let herself drift into the spirit of the season, allowing warmth to permeate her heavily burdened heart. She could visualize the altar draped in vibrant cloth, the candles illuminating sacred images, and the gleaming chalice awaiting the sacred body of Christ. It was a kaleidoscope of light and sound, calling forth every yearning within her. Then suddenly, she felt an extraordinary shift. a momentary stretching of time as the atmosphere in her cell transformed. The light within began to pulse, illuminating the corners where darkness had tightly gripped her. Clare's breath caught in her throat. Was it possible that this was the sense of wonder she had prayed for? The luminous warmth wrapped around her, evolving into something more refined, like soft tendrils of golden light reaching out to her soul. With a gasping breath, Clare opened her eyes wide, witnessing the walls quiver. The confinement that had bound her began to dissolve. Fractals of light breached the barriers, illuminating her surroundings with an intensity that flooded her being with joy. It was a surreal feeling, as if the walls of her cell were but a mirage, fading away, allowing her spirit to soar beyond earthly limitations. Inner sanctum, she whispered to herself, her gaze drawn to the brilliant light that engulfed her as she felt her spirit resonate deep within. Clare sensed that she was being pulled towards something extraordinary. The beautiful melodies outside the monastery swelled, intertwining with her heartbeat, lifting her soul higher with each chime. She imagined the Eucharist shining brightly, its essence radiating love and grace that invigorated her with divine purpose. "Lord," she cried aloud, "honor my prayers. Let me feel your presence tangibly, transcending the despair that has confined me." Her voice, fueled by longing, reverberated in the chamber, filled with conviction that reached the heavens. In that moment of unfettered belief, an echoing warmth illuminated her mind, nudging her heart open to receive the blessing she had so fervently sought. The air shimmered, dancing with the presence of the sacred, melding together spirit and flesh in a moment that would transform her very existence. Clare closed her eyes again, surrendering herself to the divine flow, allowing the waves of love to envelop her from all sides. She felt an intensity building within her, a comfort that melded with her longing. This was the connection she had craved, not just with the sisters participating in the midnight mass, but with the very essence of God, bridging the physical distance separating her from the sacred communion she sought. For an instant, the world outside faded entirely from her consciousness, replaced by the rapturous embrace of the divine that unfolded within her heart. Soft whispers of wonder filled the space around her, each detail of the chapel complete with voices raised in melody, filling Clare with a higher understanding of love. Suddenly, she felt a profound surge, as if her spirit had expanded beyond her frail body. It was a revelation, a breathtaking realization that she was not merely a spectator in this night of miracles, but an active participant in a divine communion that transcended space and time. With profound clarity, she could see herself standing in joyous unity alongside her sisters, sharing in the glories of God's presence, even from within her cell. The warmth of the Eucharist enveloped her like a rich velvety cloak, soothing her spirit, making her feel whole once again. Clare opened her eyes wide as the radiance around her grew even brighter, illuminating not just the walls within her cell, but also her very being. A sense of release flooded through her, and she proclaimed, "Thank you, Lord. Thank you for this miraculous gift. I am one with you." With an overwhelming surge of love, Clare understood that Christmas had manifested within her not merely in the form of longing, but in the fulfillment of her spirit. It was a communion that extended beyond the boundaries of her cell, intertwining her heart with those of her fellow sisters rejoicing in faith just beyond her door. In that divine moment of understanding, she felt the lasting power of love, of a force so pure it could bridge the gap between heaven and earth, even for one confined in solitude. Christmas had come alive, and Clare's heart sang, along with the angelic voices echoing in the silence, as she surrendered completely to the divine grace unfolding before her. In the heart of this divine communion, Clare felt as though the boundaries of her cell had completely faded. She was no longer confined to a physical space. She soared through a realm of light and love, supported by the faith that had anchored her throughout her suffering. The ethereal glow enveloping her was not just a transient moment, it was a symbol of a deeper truth, that the divine was ever present, inviting her to participate in its infinite grace. Clare's spirit vibrated with the joyful hymns of her sisters, harmonizing in celebration just beyond the thin walls of her room. Each note they lifted carried on the air, drawing her closer, urging her to join them. She imagined them wearing their simple white habits, their eager faces illuminated by candlelight, eyes shining with the fervor of loving God and one another. As they praised the newborn Christ, she could see their hands raised toward the heavens, embodying hope and community. As the visions of her sisters and their worship coalesced in her heart, Clare felt a profound connection that transcended both space and time. This communion with her fellow sisters tapped into a truth that had dawned upon her. The love of God knit them all together, woven through every prayer they shared, every sacrament they celebrated, and every act of kindness they bestowed upon one another. It was a symphony of faith that rippled outward, a harmony that could not be contained within the walls of any church or cloister. Gripping her rosary tighter, Clare felt waves of warmth flood through her, waves that brought healing to the fragmented pieces of her soul. She remembered the countless prayers she had spoken in her solitude, the longing for connection that had once felt so heavy. Yet now, as she basked in this celestial glow, she understood the divine purpose behind her trials. Their shared experiences, the collective efforts of those who cared for her, expanded the depths of her compassion for others, solidifying her faith in the transformative power of love. In that revelatory moment, Clare realized that it was not just her spirit that was lifted, it was the essence of every soul she had encountered throughout her life. The sisters, her family, all of those who had prayed for her, their love and support, created a network of grace that would both sustain and uplift them in good times and bad. This understanding spread through each corner of her being as she allowed the radiant warmth to cleanse her past, her doubts and her fears. "Thank you, Lord, for this revelation," she exclaimed, her voice gentle yet reverberating with strength. As Clare surrendered completely to the presence surrounding her, she noticed the altar of her previous vision shining brighter than before, vibrant in its holiness. The figure of the priest, standing with the Eucharist, seemed to glow more vividly, his form bathed in heavenly light as the hymn of praise echoed around her. At that moment, she recognized the sacredness of the Eucharist, not merely as a symbol of communion, but as the actual embodiment of Christ's love, a bridge that linked her soul directly to the heart of God. The host glimmered before her, an invitation to participate in that divine mystery and love. Clare felt her heart quicken with anticipation and reverence, aware that she was on sacred ground. The love that sprang from the Eucharist pulsed as a living beacon, affirming her worthiness to partake in this beautiful gift of Jesus. It transcended her earthly limitations, granting her a taste of that eternal banquet, a glimpse into the abundant love of the divine. "Lord," Clare murmured, "may all those who hunger find sustenance in you. May those lost in the shadows be drawn to your light." With each word she poured out her spirit, her heartfelt prayers merging with the harmonious blend of voices ringing through the air. A miraculous hush settled over the church, a sacred pause as Clare felt the essence of humanity swept up in that moment. The presence of Christ unfolded over her as if encompassing every sufferer around the world. In that singular experience, she grasped the vastness of God's love, a love that extended to all people, transcending earthly desires and pain. The intimate joy of that understanding radiated within her, and she opened her heart wider, inviting more of God's grace to flow. Suddenly, Clare noticed the faces of the beloved saints she had admired. Each came alive in the light of their devotion. They nodded in approval, rejoicing in her awakening, cheering her on as she embraced her role in the divine tapestry of faith. Clare could feel their energy surge through her, reminding her of the legacy she was now a part of, a legacy focused on faith, hope, and a commitment to love. Help me to continue this journey of love, to share the joy I feel in my heart, Clare prayed, her voice firm as she pledged to carry forth the spirit of Christmas throughout her life. Each day would be a reflection of the love and grace she encountered in this extraordinary moment, a love that required action, a calling to spread hope within her community and beyond it. Just as she surrendered herself fully to the radiant presence, Clare felt a sudden pull, a gentle tug at the very core of her being. It beckoned her to rise beyond the cell that had held her captive in her illness, allowing her to rise even in her frail condition. With the divine radiance enveloping her, Clare felt strength surge through her limbs, granting her a renewed vigor she had not experienced since her illness took hold. In this state of ethereal communion, she was renewed, each cell of her body resonating with the vibrancy of divine love. It was a miracle. It was the culmination of every prayer she had whispered throughout her darkest nights. She was being transformed from within, a testament to the potent love of God, which knew no bounds and offered hope even in the most desolate of circumstances. As she stood embraced by the light, Clare understood that each breath she took was an echo of gratitude, a celebration of life's beauty, and a pledge to share that light with those who wandered in the shadows. Christmas had ignited a flame within her, a fire she would carry far beyond this night, illuminating the lives of others as she, too, had been illuminated. Deeply grateful and profoundly changed, Clare raised her arms toward the heavens in a gesture of surrender, her heart overflowing with love as she whispered words of praise that were now infused with purpose. Thank you, Lord, for this divine communion. May I forever be a vessel for your love. In that moment, as the celestial glow enveloped her, Clare became one with the harmony that transcended the earthly realm, a radiant reminder that love is the most powerful force in the universe, binding every soul together in the continuous dance of grace, faith, and hope. She rejoiced, for she had been given the greatest gift of all, the promise of eternal communion with her Creator. As the celestial radiance enveloped her spirit, Clare felt a surge of energy coursing through her, igniting every fiber of her being. She was not merely a passive participant in this divine communion, she was an active beacon of light, embodying the very essence of the Christ she had longed for. The warmth cascaded down from the heavens, tousling her hair and infusing her heart with joy, an overwhelming joy that filled her entire being. With newfound strength surging through her frail body, Clare took a step forward, the light guiding her every movement. The transformation was palpable. She felt the weight of her illness dissipate, as if it had been lifted by the hands of angels. Her spirit danced in harmony with the radiance surrounding her, and she began to move with a grace she thought she had lost forever. Clare felt lighter, each step resonating with grace as she stepped closer to the altar. The vision of the altar shimmered in the distance, bathed in brilliant gold, adorned with flowers that seemed to bloom solely for this sacred occasion. Every detail of the chapel had come alive, enhancing the beauty and sanctity of the moment. The unwavering scent of incense wafted through the air, twirling around her and forming an invisible cloak of love and prayer, a reminder of the devotion and faith that filled the room. "Holy Lord, I am here!" Clare called out, her voice filled with conviction and clarity. The sound of her words echoed softly against the wall, resonating with the grandeur of the occasion. "I am your servant, ready to do your work." As she approached the altar, her heart swelled with a mission, a calling that she could finally embrace after enduring the tumult of her suffering. Each heartbeat echoed the promise of love and service, a promise to share the light she had received with those who wandered in darkness. She envisioned the faces of her sisters, their kindness, their laughter, their unwavering prayers. Each image burst forth, fueling her passion to uplift the hearts of others eager for hope. At the altar she knelt, enveloped by an immense wave of gratitude. Clare could feel the vibrancy of the Eucharist pulsing before her, embodying the life-changing love of Christ. This wasn't merely a piece of bread or a sip from a chalice. It was the very essence of God's unwavering gift to humanity. With every fibre of her being, Clare reached out for the Eucharistic host, her fingers brushing against the sacred element. In that moment, the entire world seemed to pause. Clare's heart raced, each pulse linking her deeper into the divine mystery woven through time and history. She felt the connection of every faithful soul who had ever partaken in the body of Christ. The history of love and sacrifice, joy and sorrow, pain and healing crashed over her like a tidal wave. "Fill me, Lord," Clare breathed as she accepted the Eucharist with humbled reverence. "Let this sacred gift transform me into an instrument of your peace, a vessel of your love." As she consumed the Eucharist, warmth flooded her body, spreading from her heart outward, enveloping her limbs and filling her soul with divine purpose. It lent her courage and resolve, refreshing her spirit with the realization that she was part of something infinitely greater than herself. With this sacred meal, she was empowered to carry forth the love of Christ into the world, irrespective of her frailty or confinement. But with that empowerment came profound responsibility. Clare understood that to embrace the light now flowing within her meant sharing it abundantly with others. Her sisters, her community, and even those outside the monastery who longed for the embrace of hope and healing. Each face flashed before her eyes. She stood as a bridge, one that connected only the divine presence she experienced within, but also offered solace to those seeking respite from the shadows. "I will not shy away from the call to serve," Clare vowed, her voice strong and certain. "I will bring love into the lives of the weary and joy to the hearts of the downtrodden. I will speak of this miracle, of your divine mercy, that all may know your grace." As she raised her arms, flooding the room with an incandescent glow, Clare felt every doubt and fear dissolve into the air. The light shining from her illuminated every corner of the chapel, revealing the faces of her beloved sisters who had gathered in their time of worship. They gazed upon her with awe, their expressions filled with reverence and joy. It was a harmonious blend of support and encouragement, affirming the calling Clare now embraced. "Clare, you have returned to us!" Sisters Agnesa and Pacifica exclaimed, their voices echoing with delight as they enveloped her in their embrace. They were filled with palpable awe, having witnessed her transformation, the merging of her spirit with divine love that emanated from her. "I am here, and together we shall carry forth this spirit. The love of Christ is our light," Clare exclaimed, ready to join hands, to walk shoulder to shoulder in their mission. The chapel buzzed with energy as they raised their voices in song, harmonizing with Clare's fervent spirit as a testament of faith. She could feel the light stored within flowing through each sister, intertwining their destinies as they united in purpose. In sacred formation, they became a living choir, lifting their voices, prayers mingling heavenward, each note a beacon of love uniting them. In that moment, Clare knew that together they would ignite a crusade of hope, each sister empowered by the same light that had rekindled her own spirit. They would challenge despair, offering fellowship and joy to those who felt lost, letting love lead the way to healing. It was a pledge made in reverence, a commitment to share the wonder of divine embrace with all those who ventured near their doors. They would become a refuge, a lighthouse for those adrift in a tumultuous sea of struggles, offering hope, a safe harbor for hearts yearning to be met with compassion. As their voices rose in harmony, the presence of love shimmered in the air, affirming their resolve and amplifying their joy. Clare's heart was aflame, caught in the ecstasy of purpose as she raised her arms, feeling the chorus of her fellow sisters join in the glorious praise of their most sacred mission. She felt as if she had been catapulted into a whirlwind of joy. This was not just the renewal of one heart, it was a rebirth of community, a rekindling of a shared calling, ready to touch the lives around them. Through the glorious gift of Christmas, they would transform not just their own lives, but countless others in their commitment to be vessels of God's love. "Together, we will illuminate the world," Clare cried, and as her sisters joined her voice in triumph, she knew that the divine had truly awakened her spirit, awakening in her a power rooted in the love of Christ. The light surrounding them pulsed brightly, wrapping them in warmth as the echo of their song resonated through the night, a sacred promise made anew that would lead them into a future illuminated with hope, compassion, and unwavering love. The feast had filled every corner of the monastery with warmth, laughter, and the sweet aroma of shared meals. Clare and her sisters intermingled with the guests, the atmosphere vibrant with joy and camaraderie. It was a scene painted with love, flowing like honey, the golden hue enveloping all who gathered. This evening had become a celebration not just of sustenance but of community, a living testament to the love they sought to spread. As the last dishes were served and the laughter of children filled the courtyard, Clare took a moment to step back and observe. Each face, illuminated by the soft glow of lanterns, reflected an array of emotions: gratitude, joy, and an undeniable spark of newfound hope. In these shared moments, she recognized the transformative power of connection, realizing that true community binds us together in ways nothing else can. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Clare sought out her sisters, from the youngest, who had shyly handed out plates, to the eldest, whose nurturing spirit guided the evening's arrangements. She caught Sister Agnes's eye, who smiled back with warmth that seemed to radiate as brightly as the candlelight. "Look at what we have created together," Clare said, her voice brimming with wonder. "This is just the beginning." The sisters nodded in agreement, understanding the impact of what they had initiated. They weren't merely providing a meal. They were stitching together the fabric of a community that had begun to fray under the weight of solitude. They had become a beacon of light, piercing through the darkness that often cloaked those around them, drawing individuals not just to the food, but to the spirit of love that infused every moment. As laughter echoed into the night, Clare took center stage once more. "Dear friends, we are not merely hosts, we are family now," she proclaimed, her voice rising above the clamor. "Tonight, we have shared not just food, but hearts. We have witnessed the love of Christ manifesting in each of you, and we hope to carry this spirit forward." Her words hung in the air, resonating deeply with everyone gathered. The sense of belonging filled the courtyard. Clare could see eyes welling with tears of joy, faces lighting up as they recognized the importance of connection and support. In that shared humanity, burdens began to lift, and smiles spread like wildfire. From the crowd, a man stood up slowly, accompanied by the gentle murmurs of encouragement from his neighbors. "I want to thank all of you," he said, his voice wavering slightly. "After losing my job, I felt hopeless and alone. I thought no one cared, but your kindness has shown me that community still exists. You have filled my heart with hope." The heartfelt words echoed in Clare's heart, resonating with her own journey. "We care because we are one family under God," she replied softly, looking around at the faces in the gathering. "Tonight, we remind each other that although our paths may be rough and the world can sometimes feel cold, we are never really alone." Applause erupted from the crowd, infusing the air with renewed energy. They understood the weight of that sentiment, the reminder that together they could carry one another through life's trials, wrapping each other in warmth and love. Clare felt honored to be a part of this healing, realizing that this gathering was a mere reflection of what this community could achieve. As the evening wore on, stories began to flow like the dishes that had been passed around earlier. A young girl shared her dreams of becoming a nurse, while an elderly gentleman recounted tales of his youth spent in the monastery serving the community. Each story wove a thread into the collective tapestry of shared experience, portraiting a community filled with resilience and hope, binding them even closer together. Clare took mental notes, determined to remember these faces and stories. Each represented not just individual lives, but the journey of God's love manifesting in the community, a source of inspiration and strength. She made a pledge to herself then, to honor these connections and to embody the essence of love they had cultivated during the feast. As night fell deeper and the stars began to twinkle in the clear sky, it became evident that the energy surrounding their gathering would not dim. Clare gathered her sisters once more, leading them to the center of the courtyard, where lanterns flickered like constellations. "This," she said, gesturing outward, "is a reminder that we are all connected in the vast universe. Tonight is a gift, and we must not only cherish it, but commit ourselves to be instruments of love." Her sisters nodded in agreement. Their hearts swelled with a shared commitment. "Together we will go forth. This gathering is just the first step. We will create more opportunities for connection, for kindness, for love." Sister Pacifica spoke, her voice strong and resolute. The sisters commenced planning future gatherings, brainstorming ideas for activities, outreach programs, and community support that could extend beyond the walls of the monastery. Clare's heart danced with elation as they discussed various initiatives, each sister proposing ways they could touch lives and share hope, crafts for the elderly, tutoring for children in need, and ongoing meals for the less fortunate. As the night carried on and the fire in the courtyard crackled merrily, the sisters felt the warmth of love cocooning them, a heavenly embrace that ignited their spirits. Clare knew that this night marked the start of something beautiful, a divine calling to create a legacy of compassion, mercy, and love, radiating outwards into the world. Their final circle of prayer was filled with joy, laughter, and an abundance of gratitude, a heartfelt recognition of the power they had cultivated through faith and love. Before they dispersed into the evening, Clare closed her eyes and whispered a final prayer. "Lord, may we carry your light in our hearts and share it abundantly. May we always remember this night and the love we have ignited together." As the sisters began to break apart and head into the warmth of the monastery, Clare felt a profound sense of peace settle in her heart. She knew their mission was just beginning, but the love they had shared that night would forever guide their steps, lighting the way as they ventured into the weeks and months ahead. With renewed spirits, Clare strolled back into the monastery, her heart whole and blissful, ready to embrace the future with unlimited potential. Each soul she had encountered and every heartfelt story exchanged would remain with her, guiding her journey forward in the name of love, community, and the unyielding promise of faith. As weeks turned into months, the efforts of Clare and her sisters flourished like the blossoms that adorned their monastery gardens. Their outreach initiatives solidified the bonds between the sisters and their community, and new friendships sprouted where once there had been isolation or silence. Clare watched as their humble mission gained momentum, weaving its way into the hearts of many. One sunny afternoon, Clare found herself tending to the community garden alongside Sister Agnesa. They knelt in the earth, hands stained from the soil, planting seeds for the next harvest. The vibrant colors of blooming flowers surrounded them, a testament to the growth they had nurtured not just physically, but spiritually within their village. "Every seed we plant embodies our love and care for our community," Clare remarked, her voice filled with conviction as she tucked a small seedling into the earth. "In time, they will flourish and bear fruit, just like our work here. Each plant we grow represents the lives we've touched." Sister Agnesa smiled warmly, her fingers gently brushing the earth as she worked. "And each connection strengthens the roots of our community. We have become a source of hope for many. I see it every time people gather for our meals or workshops, the joy in their eyes, the way they interact." The sisters had committed themselves to ongoing meals, workshops, and tutoring programs that welcomed all. Those who walked through their doors slowly began to learn that they were entering a space filled with love and acceptance, a refuge where their souls could be nurtured alongside their physical needs. As they stood, Wiping their hands clean on their aprons, Claire felt the excitement swell within her. "Let's announce our next gathering. It should be a celebration of the unity we've built," she suggested eagerly. "We can have games, food, and even share some of the skills we've learned together." As they walked back to the monastery, Sister Agnes's eyes twinkled with enthusiasm. Yes, a community fair, a day where everyone can share what they've learned or created. It'll be a true reflection of the bonds we have formed. With delightful anticipation, the sisters gathered later that evening, excitement buzzing between them as they brainstormed ideas for the fair. Each sister contributed suggestions: art displays, games for children, storytelling corners for the elders, and, of course, a community feast to celebrate their togetherness. "This will not just be about us. It will be an expression of all the beauty and talent that exists within our village," Claire declared, her heart soaring. "Let's showcase our friendships and the richness of our experiences." They worked diligently to prepare for the festival, and as the day approached, anticipation electrified the air. Each sister sought to contribute something special, from homemade crafts to baked goods, ensuring that the festival would be a true embodiment of love and creativity. On the day of the celebration, the sun rose bright, spilling golden light across the courtyard. Claire awoke with a spirit bubbling with excitement, ready to witness the fruits of their labor. As guests began to arrive, she saw faces both familiar and new, each person greeted with warmth and open hearts. The courtyard transformed into a vibrant celebration, colored with ribbons and flowers, laughter and music. Children ran about, their giggles weaving through the air, a symphony of joy that melted into the hearts of those gathered. Claire marveled at the richness of life that now filled the courtyard, a stark contrast to the quiet solitude she had once experienced. Shouts of excitement rang out as games commenced, with children building connections through playful challenges. The artwork, crafted by local hands, hung proudly on makeshift displays, while stories shared around storytelling corners captivated attentive listeners. The community was buzzing with life, connected by laughter and spirited camaraderie. As Claire moved gracefully through the festivities, she encountered a young girl named Lucia. She recognized her from the tutoring sessions and recalled the struggles Lucia faced with her studies. Claire knelt beside her, noticing the sparkle in her eyes. "Lucia, you're doing wonderfully," Claire exclaimed, admiring the necklace Lucia had crafted from beads. "That's beautiful. Your creativity shines through." Lucia beamed proudly, her cheeks flushing with gratitude. "Thank you, Sister Claire. I made it for you as a thank you for helping me with my homework." Tears pricked at Claire's eyes as she accepted the gift, embracing the girl tightly. "This means the world to me, dear one. Your spirit is something to celebrate every day." As the day unfolded, Claire continued to connect with community members, each conversation deepening her understanding of their lives and aspirations. They shared laughs, hopes, and dreams, tapestries woven from their individual threads, creating a rich narrative of solidarity. As twilight descended, a gentle breeze swept through the courtyard. Claire felt a profound sense of fulfillment wash over her as she looked around at the laughing faces gathered beneath the stars. She understood that together they had forged a vibrant community, a testament to the power of love and faith at work. In that one day, they had nurtured connection, healing, and joy, setting a standard for the weeks and months ahead. The festival had become a celebration not just of their successes, but of every heart that had made a contribution to that tapestry, strengthening the bond between their lives and anchoring them to hope. Claire knew that their journey had barely begun, but that evening she felt the warmth of a mission thriving throughout their community. She took a deep breath, committed to nurturing these connections, and devoted to serving God through her love for others. As the festival became a cherished memory, the night wrapped around them like a blanket of stars. Claire knew that they would continue to shine as a beacon of hope, together, united in their purpose to illuminate lives with the light of Christ. The whispers of joy would echo long past that day, carried forward by those who had come together in love, assuring them all that they were never alone. What did you think of this story? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Click the video on the left to hear another story.